Hi all, this is Skate, and here comes a topic which gets everybody salty. It's the FV215B 183, the British Tier 10 tank destroyer. And let's be fair, it doesn't really need any form of introduction whatsoever. If you're playing in a Tier 10 match, you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be one of these things in there. It's not uncommon to see 3 or 4 of these things in one battle. And as a result, well, we all know the topic. And nearly every single video you see on this tank is people discussing that, myself included. I've previously made the video discussing the Deathstar. Everybody has. I don't want to do that in this video. The reality is, this is one of the most played Tier 10 tanks. If you look at the last 90 days, this has over 7,600 players who have played it in that time. But if you look at an IS-7, that has 7,200 people playing it in the last 90 days. And an E100 has over 7,000 people playing it in the last 90 days. But this thing does something very, very different. This thing can take well in excess of over half a tank's hit points. And that is what causes the rage, causes the tears, causes the salt. Combine that with the fact this thing sits at the back of the map. Well, doesn't always, as I would like to try and show in this video. But a lot of people will sit at the back for the entire match. I agree with it at the start, but the entire match, no. And not always. So what I wanted to do in this video is focus on how I like to try and drive the tank and try and share some of that. When this tank first came out, I played it non-stop. For obvious reasons, it's hysterical to do so much damage. And I've got 1,800 plus games in this tank. Shh, don't repeat that. Check out this bad shot, by the way. Drives into a building, so I got you now. And I bounce off a turret. I'm such an idiot. Some people have already downvoted this video based on the fact it had Deathstar or FV215B 183 in the title. Some people downvoted it as soon as they heard me say 1,800 games. And the rest of them downvoted it because I'm an idiot and I bounced off someone's turret. But then you do stuff like that in the Deathstar with hesh, into the back end of an IS-7. And you remember exactly why you laugh every time you drive this tank. Because that is fun. Also, bit cheesy, but this tank's a little bit special to me for one reason. It's the first tank I ever did a review on where I opened my mouth and started talking in a video. I kid you not, I cringe when I go back and watch that video. I cringe when I watch my videos now. I hate hearing my own voice. But I just sound so uncomfortable. Then again, it was the first video I ever spoke in. So it was a weird one. But as a result, Deathstar kind of sticks in my head for that reason as well. And in that video, we were playing against Tier 8s. And that's what made it even more fun back then. Playing against Tier 8s in a Deathstar, the amount of things you could delete, and I do just mean delete, they'd probably get deleted from the next match you hit them that damn hard. But back then, this thing was even more insane. It was hysterical. But yeah, enough rambles. The point in this video is I would like to prove that you don't have to sit right at the back and be sniper the entire time in a Deathstar to do well or to have fun. I think it's fair to say I've played more turretless or I've played more tank destroyers than any other class, and it's probably my favourite class. But as I'm assuming my previous videos on the channel to date show, I get a little bit impatient and I do like aggressive gameplay. In other words, I get a little bit bored and I end up leaving my comfortable spot. Combine that with the fact that if you're still sitting in your comfortable spot right at the back and you're not being effective putting in fire for your team, you shouldn't still be there. I can't stand it when I see a Deathstar sitting at the back and their team is the other side of a ridge, a town or whatever, and they're not moving. They're doing nothing for their team, and in that circumstance, a Deathstar is pathetically weak, because what's going to happen, they're going to be left against a couple of reds, they'll get one shot off, and then they're stuck with like a 20-second reload, and in that time frame, you can obliterate a Deathstar all day long. The other thing is when people see a Deathstar, they tend to focus that tank more than any other. I could rock around a corner by here with a bucket ton of Leos, nice big squishy targets, and I'd be willing to put a bet that people would point their guns at me in a Deathstar than, say, every single other big squishy target next to me. And that's quite simply because you are such a threat and you can change the impact of a game. People want rid of you, and they don't want that big old hesh shot into them. As we've already established, once you've shot, they know they're immune to just come around the corner and pepper you with shots comfortably and safely, providing they counter 20 seconds and then get the hell out of there anyway. Now in this game, we've gone the C route. They weren't there. Rather than sitting at the back allowing my team to spot, I'm spotting in a Deathstar. But it also means I'm on the butt, which means massive, nice, big, juicy hesh shots. Now in this circumstance, I don't have a team to protect me to stop them rushing me, but I do have a big June, so I can get behind the big June. And now there is someone on my team pushing forward, so I want to help them. And I think that is the key focus when you're driving a Deathstar. The sole thing you need to do is look for targets which are focusing your team and take them out and soften them up massively for your team. And that's when you do the most damage in a Deathstar. Trying to do the damage when everybody is outnumbering you is very difficult in a Deathstar. Huge respect to this T-54. You could see he was commenting on the teamwork. But that's when I noticed, well, we're losing on the cap quite badly. So he's gone to get A. I'm going to go and try get B. Because if we didn't go get these, well, we're going to lose based on capture points. Then the other thing is because they're so high, sadly he has been reset and now killed on A. But it means I need to get into B, and we are really, really pushing this in terms of supremacy points. And they know they're close, which is why they're rushing. Which is why they were rushing over the top to try and reset me. Because they were so close to winning. And they're still very, very close to winning. So I need to get up and either get rid of this tank by here, or get A. Or both, actually. On my way up, there is the back of a VK by there. So I need to try and soften him up for my team. And ammo-racking him is a fantastic way to soften him up. And now we're going to make our way up to A, and we have to remember there is a T-57 Heavy who is blocking us. However, we are capturing base capture points much quicker than him. And someone's just taking a huge chunk out of him. Remember, though, we're spotting him in a Deathstar. Not our team, quite simply. And it's something you don't see enough in a Deathstar. I know some of you guys who watch these videos do, but you don't see it as much with the general populace. But that means we've only done 4,300 damage in a Deathstar. But we have got 1,700 assistance damage, 230 plus victory points earned, and 150 victory points seized. Which gives us a mastery. Which is kind of mad to think, for 4,000 damage in a Deathstar, you get a mastery. Actually, just to correct myself, I just said 4,300 damage. It was 4,003. But this is the thing I want to emphasize. It's quite simply, you don't have to be at the back the entire time. And if you're like me and you get a bit impatient or get a bit bored doing that, well, you can push up in these things. You just have to keep two things in mind. And that main thing in my head is, number one, have I got cover? So I can get behind that cover and survive and not take much damage during... Oh, this is going to hurt. Am I safe, and can I get behind cover straight away after I've fired? And while I'm behind that cover, can they rush me, or is there other tanks around which is preventing them and stopping them from pushing and rushing me solely? Which is why I say end game. If you're against several tanks at the end of the game, I think a Deathstar is weak and ridiculously easy to take out. He fires at one of the Reds, and then somebody else mops him up while he's on a reload. It's during the game, and it's during the time when you have team, and you can manipulate the idea of the Reds can't push you because there's other tanks around, and you're there supporting constantly. If you're at the back and you're not supporting properly, you're not preventing them from rushing, and as a result, you're not doing enough damage earlier on in the game. Also remember that a Deathstar on a reload is one of the easiest things to pick apart. However, a Deathstar driving towards you is one of the scariest damn things you can come across at tier 10. And people will back up because they think you're going to shoot them for huge amounts of damage. And that's why it's not just about the damage, it's about the fear tactic that this thing can bring to the table. And if you're at the back, you're not supporting, well, those Reds can quite confidently, quite happily push on your team. But if you're there, there's much less likelihood of them trying and having the plums to go and push you that hard. So not only are you doing hysterical amounts of damage and putting big nasty hesh shells into lower plates, you're preventing a rush on your team, and by preventing that rush on your team, you're improving your odds of winning. Now, I'm not saying YOLO, that is the worst thing to do. Please don't YOLO and then come back and leave a comment saying, I YOLO'd, like you said, and I got nailed. And it's like, well, yeah. I'm not saying YOLO in a Deathstar. Please don't YOLO in a Deathstar. We're going to end up in a worse situation than people sniping if you're YOLOing in a Deathstar. The key thing is getting up there, playing the mid-range game, and being there as support for your team. After that, the next thing I will try and focus on is trying to be in positions which give me side shots on things. Logically, the more sides you have, the more reliability your hesh shells will have, and thus more damage you shall do. And then end game like this, we're in a 2-on-2 situation. There's a waffle on my right, and, well, he's going to hit me. Is it worth taking that damage to dish out that damage? Oh, yes. And it's that stuff that make people play this tank so much. It's funny. Granted, it's not for the waffle, or it's not for other people, but it's fun. And that's why so many people play it, obviously. Now, E50M versus me in a Deathstar and an E100. We're not going to be chasing that thing around the map, which is why I'm just heading straight for the base. Hopefully we can either cap him, or he's going to come and try and hunt us. But that guy has a fair amount of hit points left. Now, you can look at this two ways. One, we're better off for me and the E100 to get in the cap. So we could moan at the fact the E100 hasn't joined, we'd cap twice as quickly, and the game would be over quickly. Or he'd shoot one of us and we'd still have half the cap points. That's one way of looking at it. That's the way which I think would be optimal. However, the other way to look at it is that E100 could be spotting the E50M for me. But the problem with that route is it's touch and go, and it's 50-50. If that E100's going off down one side of the map by this point, well, as you can see, E50M potentially is already on the other side. But the E50M was spotted by the E100, and he wouldn't have been spotted unless he was in that situation and in that position. But again, from the same argument, look at the cap counter. We would have pretty much been capped by this point. So it's hard to make comments. What I'm trying to do, though, is put myself in a situation now where I'm protecting myself. That E50M knows I'm by myself in the cap. He knows I got all the cap points, and he knows where the E100 is. So you know he is coming my way, or he wants to make his way to me. So you can see I'm trying to decide which way he's going to come. He's either going to come over that ridge, or he's going to come directly through that bit in front. And I can't decide which way I think he's going to come. It's going to be this way, though, so we can maintain his momentum. But it does mean we've got a nice side shot on his tank. But he does manage to reset the cap, and if he manages to get away in time now, there is no way we will be able to cap quick enough. And that is when the E100 does manage to finish him off. Also, he was legging it through that route because there was an E100 behind him. If the E100 wasn't chasing him around the map, then we could also argue that he could have got himself in a nice position and just started shooting the long range game. End result of that is, though, we did 6,400 damage, we nearly capped, and it was a fun game to play. But what you'll also see is people getting huge amounts more damage than this, and way less XP, because they're not spotting their own targets. So if you're in that category, which I've done in so many games, you get like 7,000 plus and you just don't get your mastery, try pushing forward a bit more. It makes all the difference. But yeah, that's my super quick look into the Deathstar and how I like to play it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope some of you have found it useful. And that's it for now. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.